Alright class, welcome to day 2 of our pumpkin carving project. When we left yesterday, we had just finished creating our pumpkin, and so now it's a model that's defined. It's got our shape, but it's still silver, it's steel, doesn't really look 100% like a pumpkin yet, so we got to do a couple things so we can make this look a little bit better. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to start chopping this entire body up into a couple parts so we can add colors to different places, so we get the orange pumpkin body, the green stem going. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make an offset plane so we can essentially cut the top of our pumpkin off. So we're going to come over here to the construct menu. This button right here is offset plane. We've done this one before. You can also find it by going to the construct drop down menu. I'm going to click on this plane down here that's all the way at the bottom, and I'm going to create another version of that plane but way up here at the top. I'm going to click on the front on the view cube so I definitely can get a side view of this, and I'm going to come up pretty high, and I'm going to say I'm going to put it right about there. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go modify. I'm going to go to split body. I've got two things I need to select. One is the body to split. That's the entire pumpkin at this point. And my splitting tool, which I can't really click on that plane, so I'm going to go over here to construct, and I'm going to click plane 1. And you'll see now I've got a line that goes across. That's where it's going to split this one body into two bodies. You'll know it worked. I can hover over the bottom. It highlights separately than the top. So there are two different components of this part. So now we're going to work on doing the same thing or a similar process to get the stem to work. But since it's not a flat line, easiest way, in my opinion, to do this is to create a line that we can use as that splitting tool. So we're going to sketch. We're going to click here on this vertical plane, which in this case, this is the XZ plane. I'm going to make a line more. I'm going to undo that one, a little too short. I want to go from here, kind of all the way across, not quite horizontal, a little bit downward sloping. There we go. So now I've got my line that goes across. I'm going to finish that sketch. Now I'm going to modify split body again. Go to splitting tool, select my line. Body to split, I want that top half. And I'm going to click OK. So now I've got the stem as one piece, kind of got the top of the pumpkin as another, and then the body here. So I'm going to pop open my body section here. I'm going to hover. All right, that is the body, actual body. I'm going to rename that one body. This here is my top, so I'm going to rename this one top. And last but not least, this one is my stem, so I'm going to rename this stem. Again, always a good practice to rename your bodies, your sketches, something that are pretty obvious to what they are. So that way if you need to edit them later, you know where they're at. And also when you go over to the timeline, you can see they've got names on some of them. Okay, so at this point, I've got my parts cut up a little bit. I'm going to press A for appearance. We've done this a few times before. I don't want steel, so I'm actually going to do one thing real quick. I'm going to go over here to modify, and I'm going to change the physical material, and I'm going to change it all to plastic. I'm going to go actually all the way down, and I'm going to find plastic. It's alphabetical. Plastic, where are you at? Oh, it's somewhat alphabetical. We got PVC before PL, so we're just going to drop this right here over top of our steel donut, change it all to plastic. Now I can close the physical material. I can go back to appearance. Now we don't want this really to be a gray. We're going to pick an orange color. That kind of works. If I wanted to be a little bit more fancy, I can go up here. I can go to color libraries. This gets me Pantone Colors, which is a paint or a color company. They also do a lot of RGB codes. If I type in pumpkin up here, I can see all their versions of a pumpkin color. So I happen to like this Harvest Pumpkin. So I'm just going to double click on that and click OK. And it changes my entire thing to that orange color. Now if I want to do just the green stem, I can duplicate this. One thing I'm going to do before I get there, I'm actually going to change up the plastic that I use. It's still on plastic, but I want to give it a little bit of texture. So I'm going to just here in the library for my appearance, I'm going to type in the word texture. I'm going to go down, and there's a handful of plastic with texture options here. Random, polka, regular, skin. Just to show you what they look like. And again, these are in black, so I'm going to have to go back and change them. But this gives that kind of a, almost like the outside of an orange look. Polka kind of gives it like a basketball look. Regular just kind of has some lines. And skin kind of looks like little itty bitty cells if you zoom in on it a little bit. In this case, I'm going to use, let's go with the random, kind of like that appearance for this. I'll double click on there again. I'm going to go back in, select my Harvest Pumpkin one more time. Now I'm going to duplicate this. So I'm right clicking on the orange appearance donut, duplicating it. Now I'm going to change this one to green. So this is where I get my stem color. Just going to go there for now. And now, since I did split body earlier, I'm okay leaving this as bodies or components. I can now just drop this up on the stem, and I've got a green stem. Alright, so now we're getting closer and closer to a good looking pumpkin. Only real problem at this point is if I were to cut it open or remove the parts, it's not thick, it's just very hollow, as you can see up here on the stem. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do this create, where's it at? Thicken is under create, way down here, thicken. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to pick the body of my pumpkin, and I'm going to create a thickness. We're just going to maybe go 0.25. See what that does. You'll notice it kind of made it thick on the outside, so we're going to change that direction. We're going to make it a negative. Now it's a little hard to see. Again, we've done it to the inside. If I make the rest of this or get rid of the top and the stem, we're going to come back to appearance, and we're going to drop this orange on the body here. There we go. One thing I also probably want to do at this point, if you ever seen the inside of a jack-o'-lantern, it doesn't have that orange color. It's more of a whitish, yellowish color. So I'm going to change this to faces. I'm going to change this gray one here to kind of a light yellow. And then when I drop it on the inside, I've kind of got a good color. So the reason why I do that is once we get into the carving, we cut our eyes and whatnot, really want to see a different color kind of pop through. So I'm going to bring back my top and my stem, and we're going to go ahead and hit close. There we go. And I'm just going to leave it at front. And now we are getting closer to where we need to be to carve our pumpkin. So this is where we're leaving today. After tomorrow, once we carve, will actually be there, and you can see how the outside of the pumpkin is orange, the inside's got that kind of a yellow look. Also kind of gives it a glow, so that way kind of mimics having the light in there as well. So again, hopefully you're enjoying this project, and stay tuned for tomorrow when we do the third and final day where we make our sketch and cut it into our pumpkin. So thanks all for paying attention.